Today's Friday, it's the 27th of January 2023, and Anita's gone off to gymnasium class, so I would normally be going for a walk, but the weather is not suitable today. It's raining and it's cold, so I've decided to stay in and just make a little bit of a video for you with some news. One of the things I promised was a little bit of an update on the Intermodal Card. That's the transport card that we have now. That gives us as residents free transport in Mallorca. So that includes the buses, that's the yellow and red buses, and also the blue buses, the EMT buses, so that's TIB and EMT buses, and also the trains and trams, so the trains that take us around the islands towards Majorca, to Sa Pobla and to Inca, and the tram that takes you off towards the Polygono and the university. So all of those are now free, but to get the card you need to be a resident, so it's not something for tourists, I'm afraid. You still have to pay. But the good news is it's relatively cheap. The price of tickets on the buses is relatively cheap, and you can travel all over the island on them. They're very good, very efficient, very clean. Well, having said they're very clean, the window on the Majorca train was not very clean, so that's why the video from outside was not as good as I would have liked it to have been. But it's certainly opened up lots of opportunities for us. We'll be able to travel around the island, and it doesn't actually cost us anything. I do enjoy driving. I know I complain a little bit about it, but I do enjoy driving. It's driving home after we've been out for a day that seems to bother me more than anything. If we go out for a day and we're going to the other side of the island, it may take an hour or more to get there. And if we have a walk and maybe have something to eat, and then I've got that hour or more drive to get back home, and that's what I don't like, is the drive back. So the bus or the train gives us an opportunity to travel by bus, train, and that means that I don't have to drive back, and it's certainly a lot more comfortable for me, much more relaxing. So that's the bus card. It's called an intermodal card, and for those people who are residents on the island, there's lots of places you can get them. Many of the ayuntamientos, the town halls, are providing places. In Calvia you can simply go to one of the sports centres. We went to the one in Magaluf, but the one in Santa Ponsa. Or you can go to the Intermodal, that's the railway station, train station in Palma, and they have the setup there. It's got your picture on, it's got your photograph on, so it's your card. More news on the transport is that you'll notice that in the recent videos we've done on the bus and on the train, that both Anita and I have been wearing masks. That's because that's the rule. We have to wear a mask on public transport. Well, it's been announced now that the actual date for the end of that is going to be the 7th of February. So from the 7th of February, no more masks on public transport. And I'm guessing that will include taxis, but I've not actually seen that in print. It doesn't include health centres and pharmacies, so if you're going to a health centre to see a doctor, or you're going to a pharmacy to pick up some medication, then you still need to wear your mask. Some sorts of local news now. There's been a huge boom apparently in the building sector. Building properties in the Majorca's taken off in the last 12 months. And one of the side effects of that is that the local council, the government here in the Baleares, has been able to collect a lot more tax. They do charge quite a considerable tax on exchange of property. So if you're buying a property, there's going to be a tax to pay. And because the properties' values have gone up, and because the expensive properties are being sold, there's a boom, and they reckon they've got nearly €1 billion from last year in revenue from that, which means that, taken with all of the other taxes that have been collected, we've got well over €1 billion in tax. And I suppose that's good for us as residents. That means they don't have to tax us in other ways, but we'll see. I found an interesting article about a German gentleman, Wolfgang Muller, who'd been on holiday to Majorca last year in March, and he rented a car and had a most enjoyable holiday. When he got home, he received a letter of something he thought was to do with his 70th birthday from the Vatican. And being a good Catholic, it was a registered letter, so he signed for it and accepted the letter, only to discover that inside there was a set of parking fines from Mallorca. Yeah, coming via the Vatican. Apparently, the authorities here use different postal services to send out fines, and one of them happens to be in the Vatican. And he received that and therefore got his fine. He paid it in good time, so instead of a €180 fine, he only had to pay €90. But I guess if you see a letter and it's come from the Vatican, you may need to ask the question, why? It could well be a fine on the way for you. In one of the videos on the bus recently, I went past the Son Lloreta Hospital. Son Lloreta was the main hospital for Palma for many, many years when we came here, and our youngest daughter Serena was actually born in the Son Lloreta complex. Well, it's been abandoned for many years now because a new hospital, San Espaces, was built, and the old building was just left. After some considerable time, they decided that they were going to convert it into an old people's home, and I guess they were just waiting to find where the money was going to come from. And it never actually came, so new plans. And the architects went in and said, well, you can't really convert this building because too much money and too much work needs to be done. So in the end, they're going to knock it all down. So they've already removed the outpatients, they've removed the maternity block, but the semicircular block, the curved building, which was the main block of the Son Lloreta Hospital, is going to be demolished. It's going to take more than a year, perhaps 18 months to demolish, and it's been given a contract. It's going to cost €3.5 million just to demolish it. And then it's going to be converted into, well, they're not mentioning now homes for the elderly, more sort of hospital and outpatient type buildings, and some maybe for longer term, which could, I suppose, include homes for the elderly. But it's going to be totally new buildings, and all of that work, well, at least the demolition part of it, is going to be starting in the next few weeks. So we'll be looking out to see how that proceeds. Speaking to friends, we were looking at the building, and it's probably going to take so long because of the sorts of materials that might have been used in building the original hospital. I imagine there's going to be a lot of asbestos and other nasty things that they're going to come across, and that has to be disposed of very carefully. News about the airport. So the figures are out now for the Son San Juan Airport. That's the main Palma airport that you come in when you come on your holidays. And in 2022 they registered 28,573,000 visitors or passengers coming through the airport. I always find that quite an amazing figure. 28.5 million passengers passing through. That's actually slightly less than the 2019 figure, but only 3.86%. But what did increase was the actual number of flights. The total number of flights was up just 1.6%. To 220,690 flights. That's a lot of aeroplanes coming and going into the island. More news about the island and its employment. The unemployment has had the biggest drop in Majorca, in the Baleares, of any community in the country. We still have 69,000 or almost 70,000 unemployed, and that's representing about nearly 11% of the population. But overall, last year the unemployed population did drop. There was an increase towards the end of the year, but that's normal. There's always an increase because hotels close and the hospitality sector closes, and so there's always an increase at the end of the year. But overall, a drop in unemployment. In a recent video also, we were walking along the Paseo Maritimo and seeing the construction work that was going on there. Well, that's moved ahead a pace now, and we can now see why all those fences were being put up. The 2 lanes that were on the side nearest to the bars and restaurants are now closed to traffic, and all traffic has been moved to the seaside. And what that has meant is that all the parking that was there is pretty much gone, and the cycle track that was there has now gone, and even some of the pavement area has now gone. So they now have 2 lanes in each direction on the side of the road that's nearest to the sea. And the side nearest to the bars and the restaurants, that's undergoing a complete remodelling. So that was the purpose behind that. In the middle of all that, we did see that Tito's, the nightclub from the, I suppose, 60s and 70s, was undergoing a demolition or reconstruction. And news has come out today about that. It's actually now changed from originally, or recently it was in the Cursac hands. They're the people that own BCM in Magaluf and a number of other nightclub type venues on the island. That was sold, and it's changed hands again, I think, recently now, is in the hands of Pacha. The Grupo Pacha, which is famous in Ibiza and did have a presence in Mallorca, have taken it over, and they're going to turn it back into a nightclub. And what's more, it's going to be one of these high-end nightclubs. I'm not sure it's Anita and Steve's place to go. It's going to be a nightclub with dining, Michelin star dining. They've enlisted the help of Andrea Ginestra, who is a Michelin star chef, and the dining for up to 300 diners, so quite a huge restaurant area. Or it can be converted into a club, and when it's in the club mode it can hold up to 700 people. So it's going to be called El Leo, and it's going to be the old Tito's. And El Leo is a brand that is not just here in Mallorca, but in Ibiza and in other parts of the world as well. So moving on, our next big holiday I suppose is going to be Easter, and that's falling fairly early in April. It does mean though, the earlier it is, that the more uncertain the weather is and the cooler the weather is. So we're looking at Easter Sunday being on April the 9th. So before that, the holidays start here on April the 6th, that's the Thursday before Easter, and then Good Friday the 7th. So we actually get a good lot of holidays there, the 6th and the 7th. And then Easter Monday will be a holiday as well, which will fall on the 10th. So a good long weekend for the people who work here on the island. Some sports news. I know many people like to follow Rafa Nadal, and I've been telling you that he's now getting involved with hotels. He does have his finger in lots of pies, and hotel industry is where he's moving to next, in conjunction with the Melia Group, and they will be opening their first hotel in Palma Nova. On the sports side of things though, the tennis player was in Australia and didn't have a very good time while he was there. He came out away injured, and he's been having lots of tests, and it's just not looking really too good for him. The results of some of the tests may take another week or two or more even, and then we'll find out what is going on, but it seems as though he's going to be out of action for some time. For football fans, for us in particular, Anita and I, Real Mallorca will be playing again tomorrow, which is Saturday. We already have 25 points, which sits us nicely in the middle of the table, 10th. And if we win tomorrow, that will put us up to 28 points. And the general feeling amongst all the pundits is that if we get to 40 points, we're then pretty much safe. So hopefully we can get that fairly soon, and we won't be too worried about our position in our Liga. So we're looking forward to the match. We're going to take our two granddaughters to watch the match, it's an away match. They're playing in Cadiz, so we'll take them to the Majorca cafe, and because it's a 2 o'clock kickoff, we'll be able to have a lunch there and watch the match at the same time. So we're looking forward to that and hopefully getting 3 points against Cadiz. Some not so happy news from Real Mallorca. It concerns one of their best players in many people's eyes, and that's Kang Lee. Kang Lee, South Korean, very talented young player, came to us and has been a star of the team. But it seems that there's other teams elsewhere, in particular in the Premier League. Brighton are looking to invest in Kang Lee, but the club he's got another 2 years or more in contract with Real Mallorca, and the club really don't want to let him go. But if he's not happy, it's going to be very difficult to keep him here. Apparently our captain Raillo has spoken to him, and he said he's going to give his best to the team, and hopefully we can hang on to him at least for the next few months to see us safely in La Liga. So the weather, well, summing up, it's not been very good. The last few days it's been grey, it's been cold, and it's been wet. We've had some quite heavy rain, and then a lot of drizzly rain, and it's the drizzly rain that we have now, which is why I'm not out and about on a walk somewhere. I really don't like walking in the rain. And the mountains, the temperature's so low, it's fallen as snow, and you may have seen on the train trip to Manacor, you can actually see in the distance the snow on the mountains. Well, apparently in some parts it's actually got to a depth of about 40 centimetres. That's a lot of snow from Majorca. They'll be putting ski lifts in next. No, I'm just joking. But you do get some people who go up into the mountains, especially to see the snow. I think we will avoid that. The roads here are not made for driving in the snow. The cars are not suited to driving in the snow. Most people don't even know what snow chains are, and most people certainly don't have the suitable tyres on their car to drive in the snow. And because they've never driven in the snow, they don't know how to drive in the snow, and so it becomes really quite dangerous if the mountain roads do get covered in snow. And the police usually end up closing the roads. So that's it for the news today. Hopefully the weather will be improving over the weekend, and we'll be able to get out with our granddaughters who will be with us for the weekend, and we'll be able to see what's going on the island. So thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.